Hello friend, welcome back to Acre Homestead. I just went out and harvested this basket. I'm getting a basket this size about every other day or so. Let's go out in the morning and get this harvest. So like I said, I get a basket about this size every few days. And it's crazy because at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, and every single year I've ever gardened, I think nothing's gonna grow. And yes, sure, some plants aren't producing, some plants have died, but my goal is to plant so many things that some stuff will produce. And we are now at the point, and this has happened every single year of my gardening, even my first year, where it starts to get a little overwhelming because the abundance just keeps coming in. So on this day, we get so much stuff done. This is a marathon food preservation day, so I hope you are ready for it. We are going to be making 2 different styles of salsa, and we're going to be experimenting doing it a new way I have never done before. And let me tell you, friend, this new way is my mom's way she does it, and it has quickly become my new favorite way. We have already eaten 3 of the containers that I make on this day, and I'm just telling you, it is so good. So I'm excited to share that with you. We make we make garlic powder. We preserve up these green beans and snow peas. I show you how I like to prep them for the freezer. We get these tomatillos taken care of. A few people have asked, how do you know when tomatillos are ready to harvest? It's when that paper coating splits like that. So when they grow, the paper coating splits and you can either pick them off the vine, or a lot of times they'll even fall off the plant. And here I wanted to test my carrots to see if they were ready, and no, they are not ready. So that was just a quick little snack. We're going to continue to pick tomatoes, and then I grabbed some celery. This celery is actually not to preserve. This is for a recipe I'm going to be making for dinner tonight. So I'll just get a couple sprigs of stalks of celery and we'll head back inside. And to be honest, I'm getting a little overwhelmed with the food preservation that needs to be done. Today I have time to dedicate to food preservation, and I've got a lot I need to get done, and I'm feeling overwhelmed with the options of what I can do today. So let me show you all of this, plus all the other goodies that we've got going on in this kitchen and that we need to address today so it doesn't go bad. I love this season, but it can feel overwhelming sometimes. This is the basket I just harvested. I went and got these peaches 2 days ago, and these need to be dealt with. I'm gonna use the onions for some of our projects. Green beans need to be dealt with. We just can't go through as many fresh green beans as we're getting, so I need to do something with them. Garlic for some recipes. This is what I got 2 days ago, and then this has been in the refrigerator, and it needs to be addressed because some of them are getting a little soft, and I don't want anything to go bad. For the green beans, I think I wanna blanch and freeze them. So I'm gonna get a pot of water on to boil first thing. And then we need to peel the peaches. So I am going to peel them. Well, let me see. I was looking for my onions and they're in here. I forgot I put them in. We need our onions for making salsa. We're gonna make roasted salsa today, a ton of it to preserve it. And let me see, I think these peaches are gonna need to be blanched to be peeled. If I could peel them with, yeah, they need to be blanched to be peeled. So what I'm gonna do is get this 30-quart pot. This is one of my favorite food preservation pieces of equipment. It's huge and it is so helpful. So let's get this filled with water. While I'm waiting for my pot to come to a boil, I'm gonna take a paring knife and I'm just gonna slit the bottom of these peaches with a little X, and that way that will help release the peach skin from the flesh. If preserving food when it is in the height of ripeness and in season is something you're interested in, but you don't have a garden, no worries. For years before I had a garden, I would go to my local farmers markets and U-picks, and like I did with these peaches, I went and picked them on the farm because I don't grow peaches. So just do some simple Googling, and I can leave a website down below that will help you find local farmers in your area. I pulled about 5 peaches out to keep eating fresh because they're just so good. I actually am snacking on one right now. But one thing we need to do is roast our vegetables for our roasted salsa. So I'm gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And I'm gonna preheat 2 ovens because we have a lot of things to roast. So I'm gonna preheat this one and this one. And the reason I wanna get these ovens going is so that I can have my stuff roasting while I work on some smaller projects. I'm gonna roast quite a few of the things in this roasting pan. And so we're gonna start with our onions. I got this idea from my mom. I still have salsa in jars down in the pantry. And I don't want to make any more of that because I have plenty of that. My mom is not much of a canner. She freezes a lot of stuff. And she usually gets enough salsa ingredients from her garden to make one big batch of salsa, and then she freezes it. She does not can it. And she roasts it first. And I was at her house yesterday. We had dinner at her house yesterday, and she was talking about it. And I thought, you know what, that sounds so good. I have all the things I need to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna try that this year. So I have got some onions. My onions in my garden are not quite big enough yet to harvest. I harvest them for dinner here and there, but I don't want to harvest them to make salsa out yet. I want them to continue to get a little bit bigger out there. So I'm going to peel these onions here. I'm going to go through a lot of compost stuff today. So I've got a compost bowl out. Get all these onion peels in here. I want to create a little bit more surface area so they get a little bit more roasty. So I'm just cutting them in these big discs. Now I'm going to lay them out on this roasting pan. You know what? I think I'm going to do the onions on a baking dish because these aren't going to get as juicy as the tomatoes. So I'm going to put the tomatoes in here. These tomatoes have already been washed, so I don't need to wash them. I do need to take the stems off though. And we're going to get these in here. I'm going to cut off any of the big kind of, what is that called? Pit? I don't know what that's called, of the tomato. I've seen people use corers, like a melon baller corer, and I think that's a really great idea. I don't have one of those. I'm gonna use all different kind of tomatoes in this, and I am gonna peel some of them. That's what my mom said she does. She said she lets it get really roasty in the oven, and then the peels kind of come off. And so that's what I'm gonna try to do. I was just talking with her method yesterday, and we're gonna go with her method. And I've got all different kinds of tomatoes. The cool thing about this recipe is that because I'm freezing it, I can do it 100% to my taste. I don't have cherry tomatoes here. I don't have to follow a canning recipe or anything like that. I'm just gonna make it, taste it, adjust the seasonings, and go from there. And I think this is gonna make a really delicious chip dipping salsa. A lot of the salsa that I tend to use it more in cooked things because it has more of a cooked flavor, and this I think is gonna have a little bit more of a fresher flavor. Even though we're roasting it, we don't have to put it through that canning process. So I'm excited to try this. I think it's gonna be delicious because I've had my mom's before. I don't know why I've never tried her method until now. These are beautiful orange tomatoes. And I'm happy I'm getting to them because they are telling me I want something to be done with me. And a lot of times when it comes to tomatoes, I just throw them in the freezer until I have time to process them. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to freeze these, take them out of the freezer, turn these into this kind of salsa, and then refreeze it. So this is perfect timing to get this recipe going. And this is absolutely beautiful here. Now I've emptied this basket of tomatoes. But no worries, we have more where that came from. I'm gonna fill this entire roaster pan up, which will probably be all these tomatoes that I have in this basket.
I started canning about 4 or 5 years before I had my own garden. And what I would do to help save money is I would go to the farmer's market and I would call up my farmers and I would ask them, do you guys sell seconds? So what a second is it's a tomato or whatever type of produce it is, and it's not perfect. It's not farmer's market or grocery store ready. It might have a blemish, it might be funky shaped, it might be whatever. And usually they sell those at a discount. And if you're going to be canning them or turning them into something, not just slicing to eat on a sandwich, you're going to save yourself a ton of money by buying seconds.
This one I'm going to keep out for fresh eat. Now what I'm going to do is salt and pepper these. And just put a little bit of olive oil just to help with the browning process. Our oven is preheated. I decided to put it on 425 degrees. And I'm gonna get this in the oven. And now we're gonna finish up our onions and add the other ingredients that need to be roasted. To this, we need to add some other goodies that we've got in here. We need some jalapenos, and let's see if I can find a few more, because we're gonna need more than 2 for the amount of salsa we're making. I don't wanna use my red ones, because I'm gonna use these to make red hot sauce later. Do I have any in this basket? I do. I only wanna use green jalapenos. 2, 4, 6, 7. I have more in the freezer, but that's probably enough. What I'll probably add is some poblanos, because that'll add nice pepper flavor, but not add as much heat. So we'll add all of these. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just put them on here whole. I'm just gonna cut the tops off. This poblano had a little bit of a bad spot there, so I'm just going to cut that off. Now I have a ton of garlic. I'm gonna go ahead and put probably about a half a cup or so there. We have one big project started. Here, and I think I'm gonna turn this one up to 425 as well. So I'm gonna turn that off, bake 425. Now let's get the green beans done. So we're gonna blanch these for 4 minutes. If you are new to blanching, blanching stops an enzyme. As soon as you pick a vegetable, there's an enzyme in it that starts to break it down. And what blanching does is it kills that enzyme. And you want that enzyme killed before you stick it in the freezer. So we're gonna blanch these for just a couple minutes. And then once we take these out, I'm gonna go ahead and blanch some snow peas, because I have a ton of snow peas that I also need to deal with before they go bad, because so many are coming out of the garden, we just can't eat them all fresh. When you're blanching though, you're not looking to cook the vegetable, you're just looking to kill that enzyme. So I want to get some cold water in this bowl. So as soon as they come out of the boiling water, we can put them in cold water that's cold to stop the cooking process. I'm gonna use this pan to blanch some peaches too, I think, but I don't wanna use that water because it kind of is green and tastes like peas. So I'm going to dump this out and fill it back up with water. That way I can just get as many blanched at one time as possible and get this done as quickly as possible. While I'm still waiting for this to come to a boil, it's almost there. And this to fill up, I'm gonna start chopping peppers because I'm gonna freeze a bunch of peppers as well. I finally got my new vacuum sealer in the mail and I've tested it out and it is fantastic. So I'm going to clean up my little area here so that I have space to work. So all these peppers, I'm just gonna dice them up and get them preserved. Now, I just talked about blanching helps keep things from going bad when you put them in the freezer. I never, ever blanch peppers when I freeze them, and I've never had an issue. So I'm not gonna blanch them today. I'm just going to give them a chop, and then we'll put them in the vacuum seal bags. The one thing that I have found that makes them stay the best, the longest, is to vacuum seal them. I have tried both ways, where I have just taken my chopped peppers and put them in a freezer Ziploc bag. And you absolutely can do that. It works if that's all you have, but I have gotten peppers to last in the freezer. I found some over the last pantry challenge that were from 2 years ago, and they were vacuum sealed and they were just as good. Now my goal is to not keep peppers in the freezer for 2 years. Really my goal is 1 year worth of peppers. Organic peppers and just peppers in general in the winter are so darned expensive. So I try to preserve them up, one, when they're coming out of my garden, or I can buy them from a local farmer when they're fresh. Now the one thing is though, when you freeze peppers is they're only good to cook with. You don't want to eat them raw. You want to cook with them. You want to put them in soups and chilies and stir fry them up, or put them on pizza or something like that. But they cook up beautifully if they're frozen, as long as you cook them and you don't expect them to, you know, be something you would want to eat raw. I decided not to get my other pot of water on to boil because this is such a big pot. I think this is going to go relatively quickly. So I'm going to take my peaches that I have slit, and I think because this is so hot, I don't want to burn myself, I'm going to put my peach on my, I think this is called a spider. I'm going to gently put it in here for 1 minute. So I think I could probably get about 10 or 15 in here, so it probably only take 2 or 3 rounds to get these in the water.
If you are new to canning, I can list all of the canning equipment and a playlist of canning videos down below so you can get comfortable with it. The first year I started canning, I canned tomatoes and applesauce, and I'm not gonna lie, when I opened those jars, I was a little bit terrified. As long as you follow the recipes and you do everything according to the recipe, it is going to be safe and you are going to be just fine. But I understand that fear of canning. And so here is what we do today is 2 recipes to get summer fresh produce in your pantry. I'm considering my freezer part of my pantry, where you don't have to worry about canning. I don't want you to be scared of canning, but here's just an alternative, and it does have a nice fresh flavor, and I'm really excited about this new way of preserving salsa. But I can leave a link of all my canning equipment and my food preservation equipment and some food preservation videos down below if you just want to get more comfortable with the idea. That's what I did when I first got into this, is I just watched a ton of people's videos. I read a bunch of books and I jumped in with 2 feet and I haven't looked back. Once you start though, be careful, because canning and food preservation and buying in season can be addicting and your family might think you're a little crazy. I am a little bit odd when it comes to this hobby. Not everybody in my family is, or my friends are into this hobby, but they all enjoy the benefits of my hobby. So I actually go and I hang out with some of my girlfriends, and none of them are canners or anything like that. And I just bought them a fresh loaf of bread and some home canned goodies, and so everybody enjoys it. And so don't feel intimidated by it. I just want to encourage you that it's fun and it can be addicting though. So be warned, this is your warning that if you start, you probably won't stop. So you can see that the peels are already starting to come off. They just slip right off. Now I have sometimes done this and the peaches, the skins don't want to come off. And I don't know if it's a variety issue or what it is, but the last 3 years I've been buying these Red Star peaches. We went and picked these together at a local farm. And you can see that one, it didn't come off quite as easily. But I've been really liking these Red Star peach varieties because they have been peeling really easily. But I definitely have gotten peaches where the peels just do not want to come off. So when you're putting the peach in the boiling water, you're only doing it for no more than a minute, because you can cook the peach and we're not looking to cook the peach. We want the peach to be fresh, especially for the salsa that we're going to be making. Now we are going to be making peach jam. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but we do end up making peach jam on this day. And if they don't peel beautifully, then it doesn't matter. But if I was going to can these and can them in slices or can them in half peaches in just a jar, I still have canned peaches, just peaches to enjoy as peaches, down on my pantry shelf, so I'm not doing that this year. Then I would want them to peel really nicely. So now that I got all the skins off the peaches, I'm going to head over to the peppers and I'm just going to start slicing these peppers, and we are going to freeze these peppers. I have found that to be the best way to preserve my peppers up. So I'm just going to take a minute, de-seed them, and get them ready for the freezer.
Now I have all my sweet peppers chopped. I'm going to go ahead and get these red jalapenos chopped as well. I'm going to turn these into sriracha sauce, but first what I want to do is get them in the freezer because I'm waiting until I have enough to do that. So I'm just chopping the tops of them off, and I'm going to throw these in a bag I already have in the freezer, and then when I have enough, I'll pull them out and I'll make the hot sauce with it. While I'm at it, I have all these tomatillos and these ones here, and then a bunch in another basket. I am going to peel all of these and wash them, and then I'm going to throw these in the freezer. And then when I have enough of them, I'll be able to pull them out of the freezer and turn them into jalapeno tomatillo hot sauce is one thing that Josh and I both really like, and salsa verde. Just depends on how many I get. I know that I only have one more half pint of our jalapeno tomatillo hot sauce downstairs. I just looked, and I have about 8 pints of salsa verde, so I'm for sure I'm gonna prioritize the hot sauce. And then if I have enough, I will make some salsa verde as well. But they're kind of just trickling in, so I don't want any of them to go to bad, and I can just throw them in the freezer, and then when I've got enough to make a recipe, I can pull them out of the freezer. Oh, I also have these little red, I forgot about these. These are my Chinese 5-color peppers. I've got a whole bunch of them in here. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the not tomatillos, with the jalapenos. I'm just gonna chop their heads off and throw those in the freezer as well.
My goal when it comes to canning projects is to actually get 2 years worth so that I don't have to can every single project every single year. That doesn't always happen. 6 jars of salsa verde, or however many jars I said I have, is not enough that's going to get us through the next year. But I didn't have enough tomatillos last year. But some of the other canning projects, I definitely have 2 years worth down there, and so I don't have to worry about canning every single thing every single year.
I just took the onions and peppers out of the oven, so I'm going to set these aside and let them cool. And I'm going to check on the tomatoes. Those probably have another 5 or so minutes, so I'm going to let those continue to cook. I did turn those on to broil because they weren't getting the char that I wanted on them. Here's where we're at, just as a little kind of recap. We are done with the peppers, so I'm going to package these up in just a minute. All the peaches are peeled, so I still have to figure out what exactly I'm going to do with these. Our tomatoes have about another 10 minutes or so, and we have blanched a bunch of vegetables. I know that I want to make peach jam because I've never made peach jam before, and I think I want to try making a freezer peach salsa. So those are for sure on my list. But I kind of want to get some of this stuff out of the kitchen so that I can think a little bit better. So now I'm going to package up some of these peppers for the freezer. I think these ones are a little big, so I'm going to get some smaller bags. We're going to use the new vacuum sealer, which I'm in love with, and we're going to get these peppers and green beans and snow peas packaged up. So I'm going to put 2023, and I'm going to put what they are, peppers, and these are sweet peppers. And I think I can probably get 3, maybe 4. Let's start with that. Always label what's going into your freezer, because even if you think you'll remember, you might not remember. So the peppers that I'm going to be turning into hot sauce and things later, I'm not going to put these in these type of bags because I'm going to use them in the next month. But the ones that are going to go into semi-long-term storage, I'm going to get them in these vacuum seal bags. So I'm trying to think what would be about a portion for a dinner. I think I'm going to get 4 bags, which is incredible. 4 dinners worth of peppers out of the garden.
So here's the new vacuum sealer. I went with this one because it had a ton of really good reviews online, and I'm hoping that it is better than the one that I got at Costco. The one I got at Costco only lasted me 1 year. It didn't even last me a whole year. I bought it last year and it broke last year. So here is to hoping this one works really well. It feels like good quality and I'm really enjoying it so far. Now when I go back to saying semi-long-term storage, I was saying I want 2 years worth of canning projects on my pantry shelf if possible. I don't want that when it comes to freezer stuff. My goal is for 1 year's worth of peppers in my freezer. I'm not looking to have my freezer full of peppers for 2 years. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for enough peppers, hopefully for 1 year's worth of peppers, just because freezers don't keep things quite as well as a canned product on the shelf. So I have found though that the vacuum sealing, I can get a year's worth of freshness, no problem.
I went ahead and I patted dry my snow peas, and I'm gonna put all these snow peas in one bag because the way I cook these, I'm gonna cook them the same way I cook them when they're fresh. Screaming hot cast iron with some butter in it, salt, pepper, garlic, and you saute them for just a couple minutes. And we can eat a lot of those for dinner when we cook them that way. And so I think I'm going to be able to just get one meal out of this amount of snow peas. Look at that. Beautiful. We'll come back to that after I'm done packaging up the green beans.
So now I'm gonna go ahead and get the green beans packaged up. Now, I have never canned green beans before. I think I want to try that this year to see how we like it. I've always frozen them. I do the same thing with frozen green beans as I do with my frozen snow peas, is I thaw them out and then I get a cast iron screaming hot, put some butter in it, put the green beans in it because they're already kind of par cooked. Then I can cook them really quickly in a really hot cast iron. I can get them nice and browned on one color. And then I add salt, pepper, some garlic, and that is how we like our frozen green beans. But I think this year I'm going to try pressure canning them. Let me know if you enjoy pressure canning or frozen green beans better. I have never done it, so I've always thought I would like frozen better than canned, but I figured I need to give it a try. I'm not going to do a bunch, maybe just 2 or 3 jars and then open it up and see how we like it. That's the thing, is you have to try to learn to preserve things the way that your family will enjoy eating them, so that all this work is for you to enjoy it, not for nothing.
So I think what I want to do next is manage these peaches because I don't want them to go brown on me. So the next thing I want to do is make some peach jam, which I have never done before. Some of these peaches are not wanting to come off these pits, so I'm just gonna cut them off kind of I don't have to be perfect because it's going to be cooked down, so it doesn't matter. I'm not putting these in jars. I thought these were free pit peaches, but they are clinging to the pit. There are some peach varieties that come off the pits really easily, and then there's cling ones.
I don't think I said that very clear. There are two different varieties of peaches. There's two different styles of peaches. They're called freestone, where the pit doesn't stick to the flesh, and then there's cling peaches where the flesh clings to the pit. And I thought these were freestone, but I was having trouble getting the flesh off the pit.
I just pulled out my favorite pectin recipe, and for one recipe it makes 5 cups. I think I'm gonna double this because I have enough peaches that I can double it, and 5 cups total is only gonna give me 2.5 pints, and I wanna gift some of this to some friends. So I need a total of 8, I need a total of 9 cups. And this is a low sugar pectin recipe. This is my favorite pectin. It still has 3 cups of sugar in it, but it's a lower sugar than what traditional pectin is. I've used Pomona's pectin. Pomona's pectin is the type of pectin you can use the least amount of sugar, but I haven't had the best luck with it. So I just use this brand. I can link it down below. It's a Sure Gel brand. It's the one in the pink box. But I want to get this cooking, and then I think I'm going to make the peach salsa next, just so that these don't brown. My tomatoes are going to be just fine. They're roasted, they're cooling off. They'll actually be easier for me to handle if I let them cool on the counter for a little bit. So I need to measure out 9 cups of crushed peaches, which might be about perfect. What I did here. Nope, I need about 1.5 cups more. Now we're gonna measure out the sugar, and we're gonna leave some of the sugar out that we're gonna mix in with our pectin. So we need 3 cups of sugar total, but we need to reserve 1/4 cup, and we're gonna mix our pectin into this. So we're gonna let this cook, and the sugar dissolve, the peach break down. We also need to add in here, oh, we're doubling this recipe. So that was 3, 4, 5, 6, and I need to reserve 1/2 cup of sugar then for this recipe. So this is gonna cook, and the fruit is gonna cook down, the sugar is gonna dissolve, and we need to add our lemon juice. For a double recipe, we need 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and when you're canning, you need to use bottled lemon juice, not fresh lemons. One thing I forgot to harvest this morning when I was out here harvesting was cilantro, and the next thing I want to make is the peach salsa. So I need to go get cilantro, and then we will make the roasted salsa.
If you are an avid jam maker and you just watched what I did where I put the sugar in with the fruit to cook, that is not correct. I did that wrong. I did that backwards. You're supposed to put the reserved sugar and pectin mixture into the jam and let that come to a boil. And then once that's boiling, you add your sugar. You will see whether this jam ends up turning out correctly or if I just made peach syrup.
So this next recipe that we're doing is kind of an experiment. So my mom has, I'm pointing to the roasted tomatoes over here, made salsa, roasted the tomatoes, the peppers, the onions, and freeze that, and it turns out great. I know because I've had hers and it's delicious. But this is something I've never done before, and we're gonna try it. We're gonna make freezer salsa, peach freezer salsa. And so we're just gonna see. I'm gonna keep some out for Josh and I to enjoy, and then I'm gonna freeze some of it, and we will thaw some out in a little bit and see how it goes. So I have 2 onions left in my house, so I'm gonna get these peeled, and we're gonna make this salsa, it's gonna be a fresh salsa right in the food processor. I'm also gonna add jalapeno, and then these are some Sugar Rush peach peppers. They're pretty warm, so I'm gonna add 4 of these. They could turn a little bit more orange, but I thought I would just grab them anyway and use them up. I want this to be a pretty pureed salsa. So we're gonna put this in here. I'm gonna add some of our cilantro we just harvested. Some garlic.
I also added some peaches.
Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. It smells incredible. Now I need to season this with salt, lemon juice, pepper. That might have been too much pepper. Just a little bit of cumin. Maybe a teaspoon for all that. I'm gonna stir all this together and then give it a taste test. So now we need to give this salsa a taste test. This salsa is one of the best salsas I have made in a really long time. I do think I'm gonna add a little bit more salt and just a touch more lemon juice, and that should finish rounding out the flavor. There's hardly any heat to it, so the peppers I added are not hot at all. I'm gonna leave some out for us to enjoy this week, but I bought these little freezer containers. I can link these down below. You can absolutely freeze in mason jars, but these stack a lot better than mason jars. So I thought they would fit in my freezer better. And since I'm gonna be making a lot of this freezer salsa, I went ahead and got these little containers. You're supposed to be able to wash them and reuse them many, many times.
The person that sold me on these containers is Crystal from the Homestead. She's got a whole book on freezing the summer harvest. She loves freezing as opposed to canning. And I can link her book down below. And the reason I was sold on these is they're dishwasher safe. That's why I've always used canning jars for freezing, just because I don't want to have to use a single plastic item if at all possible. But I washed all of these through the dishwasher before I put all this food in them, and I have washed them since, because like I said, this salsa is incredible. It freezes and thaws beautifully. We have already eaten 2 of the containers. We have eaten one of the peach and one of the tomato ones we're about to make. And I have washed the containers in the dishwasher and they are incredible. So I can link these containers. They come in all different sizes. These are a 16 ounce or pint size, so 2 cups container, and I love them. I probably end up investing in some other sizes down the road, but for now, that's the size I thought would be the best to start. So here I am mixing the pectin in with the sugar, and this is what should have gone in the Dutch oven right from the beginning instead of all that sugar. Because my peaches are boiling, I should have added this first. Once my peaches boil, then I add all the sugar, but I did it backwards, and you'll see if it turns out. So this is me adding it, and this is when I realize that I have done something gravely wrong. So we're gonna stir this in, let it boil for a minute, and see what happens. Now you could blend this up with like an immersion blender if you don't want any chunks of peaches in your jam, but we like to have a little bit of chunks. This is just personal preference.
I just realized I did this backwards. I've made jam many times, and this is the first time I think I've done this. It was supposed to add the fruit and the pectin and let that boil, and once that came to a boil, I was supposed to add all the sugar, let that boil for a minute, and I did it the other way around, but I think it's gonna be fine. I just emptied this big pot of water because it had all the peach drippings from peeling. I'm gonna get this hot so that we can up this jam. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test the jam to see if it's set. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna take some of my jam, I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna stick this in the freezer for a second, and I'm gonna see if it has gelled. Our peach jam set up just fine. This was in the freezer for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and it's completely set, so I think we're okay. So let's get this jarred up.
Whenever you make jam, you can always do that trick to test to see if your jam has set, and if it hasn't, you can keep boiling it. So just take a little bit of the product, put it on a plate. I put it in this measuring cup because it was already dirty and I didn't want to dirty a plate, but you want to kind of get it a little bit thin so that it will cool quickly in the freezer, and then pull it out of the freezer after a minute or two. You don't want it to freeze, you just want it to cool it quickly. And then if it has gelled like you want for a jam, then you are good to go. So now you all know the drill. You've seen me do this many times. We're going to char up our jam in our jars. I'm using mostly regular mouth. I used to love wide mouth jars, but for some reason now I would prefer regular mouth. So that's what I'm using on this day. And I have some lids that came with some jars that I bought last year. You know that I like 4 jars the best, but I'm going to use up all the lids that I have, and we're going to get these in the canner.
All right, now that we've got the peach jam in the canner, we can get going on finishing our roasted salsa. So I've got our onions and peppers here. A couple of the garlics got a little too dark, so I'm gonna go through and I'm actually going to pick and choose which garlics go in this, because the ones that got on the little bit dark side, those could be bitter. I don't want to add that into our salsa. I don't want to puree this, I just want to chop it. Look at that color. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. So we're going to get this into our big bowl so we can mix it all together, and I can adjust the seasonings into this big bowl. I've got the cilantro I harvested earlier, and then I pulled out some fresh/frozen garlic pucks that I'll put in here. And we've got our tomatoes. Our cilantro is now chopped up. I am gonna peel off some of the bigger pieces of tomato skin because I just don't want that texture in my final salsa. I'm not gonna go through the effort of getting it all, but just some of it that comes off easily. That's how much of the tomato skins I got out of the roaster pan. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than if I had just put everything in there. So that's my garlic that I'm gonna get in there. And I think I'm just gonna pick this roaster pan. Okay, let's start with that. Wish you could smell this. It smells incredible. So now it's time to stir this up and give it a taste test. This is a lot thicker than I thought it was gonna be, and the look of it is incredible. I like the little roasted brown specks. The sweetness from the onion is coming through, and I cannot wait to taste this. I do want to add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of cumin before I give it a taste test, but not a lot. That was maybe a tablespoon for this entire bowl. I already salted it, so I don't want to put any more salt in it until I give it a taste test. I almost forgot the lemon juice. You could put lime juice in this, but I prefer lemon juice in my salsa. My jam is boiling, so I'm going to set a timer for that. Does need more salt, but I can taste the caramelized onions. I can taste the caramelized garlic in here. needs a little bit more lemon juice too. And obviously the fact that they're in-season tomatoes just is amazing. And this is a lot thicker than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a little bit thin because it's not really cooked. I mean, I guess it technically is because it's roasted, but it has such a fresh flavor to it. Let's try this again. Oh my goodness. I could seriously eat this by the spoonful. And I'm gonna add a little more salt. I know this seems like a lot of salt, but this is a 20-quart bowl, I think. I'm gonna add the rest of this lemon juice. I don't wanna make it too salty because that would not be good. I will be making my salsa this way from now on, but I do need to see how well it freezes. My mom said it freezes great. I'm excited to give this a try.
At this point, I have thawed this salsa because we've gone through so much of it already, and it freezes and thaws beautifully. And I will always probably have some of this type of salsa in my freezer because it is so good. Both of the peach one and this one, they are so good. I have canned peach salsa before and I didn't really like it. And I can salsa as well. And we like canned salsa, but I don't usually use canned salsa for fresh eating, like as, you know, pulling it out and just taking chips and enjoying it that way. Usually I use my fresh salsa in things like chilies and soups and stews, and I use it as kind of like a ingredient, if that makes sense. Something that already has chopped onions and peppers and tomatoes. Because it has a little bit more of a cooked flavor, I prefer to use it in cooked things. This has a very, very fresh flavor and it is absolutely delicious. I like having the canned stuff because it's shelf stable and it's just really convenient and nice to have, but I'm really enjoying this fresh flavor of the frozen, so we'll probably always have both. Here I'm getting the jam out of the canner. I will let that jam just sit there until it is cooled, and once it's cooled, I will take it and write the name of what it is on the top, and I will put it down on the pantry shelf. That jam turns out really beautifully. It sets up no problem. I gift it. My friends love it. One of my friends is eating it on her ice cream every night, and so that's kind of fun. It's definitely a compliment when your loved ones enjoy what you make. So here I just emptied the freeze dryer. My freeze dryer is going probably 24 hours a day, 7 days a week right now. It is amazing. And I took some garlic out of the freeze dryer and we're going to powder this up into garlic powder. Now last year when I made garlic powder, I did not grind it as fine. This year I ground it a little bit more and I'm enjoying the texture that I ground it this year. Now I should have used a canning funnel here, but my canning funnel was all wet and gummy and so I made a little bit of a mess, but nothing a nice rag can't clean up. I think we are officially done. What a productive day. We got 2 quarts of garlic powder. I did not get to these zucchinis. We'll get to them when we get to them. I'll probably end up shredding the 2 big ones and freeze drying for later use. We got 2, 4, 6, 7 pints of peach jam. I am gonna gift a couple of these away, so we'll just have a couple for ourselves. We got 6 pints of the peach salsa for the freezer, 9 pints plus a pint that's in the refrigerator of the roasted salsa for the freezer. We got 4 things of peppers, which represents 4 meals. We got 3 green beans and 1 snow pea. So that's an additional 4 meals there. And plus we are eating fresh, as much vegetables as we want right now. This does not include all of the peppers. We got diced the hot peppers. I put those away, plus the tomatillos that are going to be put away until we are ready to use them. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. I think what I'm probably going to do, because I'm curious just to know how it goes, is I'll put these in the freezer, and then next week or the next couple days I'll pull one of each of these out and test it and see how it does. But if that works, I'm going to be so excited for it, because it definitely has a fresher taste, obviously, than canned salsa.
And I think there's a place for both. The peach salsa I've made in the past, I think is only okay. I like my canned salsa, but this is just different. And I think that if I have both, that would be fantastic, because I didn't need to can any more of my other salsa because I have enough of it. I canned so much of it last time I canned it. We are good. So I'm going to put this single layer a little bit and go get this in the freezer along with this. The jam is just gonna sit on the counter until it is cooled. So tomorrow I will write on the top what they are, and then I will put them down in the pantry. So friend, thank you so much for being here as we got all this done. Now the salsa recipe, both of these two salsas were not really recipes that I followed, but I can certainly write down what I did if you're interested, or just, you know, do it yourself and taste test. That's the biggest thing when it comes to cooking, is tasting it. I'm gonna go get these in the freezer, and I am done for the day in the kitchen. I got the dishes mostly done. I just need to turn the dishwasher on, and the kitchen's clean, and it's been a fantastic day. So thank you for being here. If you want to watch a couple of my other videos, I can pop them right here. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.